How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Transport Fever 2, and welcome back to what could be, arguably, my best setup so far. This is the steel mill that we set up in the last episode with a tremendous amount of steel and slag waiting to be picked up and taken off and delivered to, well, delivered to wherever it needs to go. Having a look at this thing, production right now is about 740, which means that about 370 of those items produced will be steel, and about 370, I mean, I can look, it's about 373, which means, you know, we're producing a lot of things. We're making a lot of things. That steel is being used to make machines. We have more machines than we've ever had before. We're moving a bunch of that slag off to new mills as well, which means we have a whole bunch of bricks. And despite the fact that we got another train, we have just as many bricks sitting around as we ever did. So we might need to do a little something about that. We also, in the last episode, managed to improve production over here. This guy is producing a whole lot. And I mean, we're not even shipping all that much of the oil sand. We're only moving 80% of it. Consumers, they could use a little bit of love as well, to be fair. So the new mill's construction materials plant is being given 240. It's only transporting 50% of that. So what we could potentially look at doing here is fixing all of that. Basically, this guy right here, for example, we could probably just duplicate the number of vehicles on that line. It's sand to bricks and then fuel to wherever it's going. Fuel to train, I guess. I guess it's doing both. That's fine, but we don't need to duplicate the number of vehicles because what we can do is actually just replace them with this new tarpaulin truck. So we're going to go ahead and do that, which brings us up to 203 on the rate, which is fantastic. It means that this guy should be a little bit better. And then we can go and kind of do the same thing elsewhere as well. So Acton, for example, is only getting about 50% of what it could be getting. So I don't really know. I mean, consumers wise, I've honestly got no idea who is getting what. Boston, for example, is getting as much as possible. Bingham could be getting more if we really wanted it to be. But I think for now, we'll just sort of leave that be. Actually, I'm not going to go too crazy and get carried away replacing all of this. Because what I actually want to do is start replacing all of the vehicles over here by Winslow. That's my goal for the start of today's episode. So we're going to move away from new mills. We're going to come back to Winslow and we're going to start looking at some of these lines. So this one here, Winslow iron to steel number 2, currently has a 729 as the current rate. That is 129 higher than it needs to be. So pin this, manage the vehicles. There's 80 of them. Let's go and just get rid of about, I'm going to say 10 of those. I'm going to say 10 of those can go. That'll bring us down to 640. Let's go ahead and get rid of another 4 of those. And that brings us down to 604, which is better. Let's then go and replace these guys. And we can replace these guys with the dump truck for $13 million. That's going to bring us back up to 1,209. That is considerably higher than it needs to be. Now, the good news is that to get that back down to a reasonable amount, we're down to 32 vehicles. So that is a, you know, considerable amount less than we had before going back and forth here. And basically we need to do that same thing everywhere. So what we're going to go ahead and do, I suppose, is try and go a little bit nuts. We kind of need to go to this guy and do sort of a similar thing. So 509 is the rate here right now. If I go and manage these vehicles, I mean, I'm kind of thinking I'm just going to replace all of them, and that should give me probably about 1,000-ish. Yeah, 1,020. So it is basically take all of these and cut it in half. So if I go and grab 19 of these vehicles, it should bring that number right down. That's 18, that's 19. Go ahead and sell those. That brings us down to 514. I'm going to bring this back up a little bit. No, I don't want to sell them. I want to clone them. I want to bring this back up to about 600, just so that we're moving 600 everywhere that we are. So that is 599. That's perfect. It's still fewer vehicles than it was before as well, so that's all right by me. For these guys, 707 right now. Let's manage this, and let's just get rid of vehicles until we're down to 300, really. And then if we duplicate it, that should bring us back up to about 600. So if I just go and grab, say, I don't know, let's grab 26 of these guys and sell them. That brings us down to 506. We still need to drop that down by another 200 though. So 311 is the rate. The number of vehicles is 40. If we go and replace these guys with the flatbeds, that rate should go back up to 623, which means I can probably get rid of maybe one of these guys. And that's going to bring us down to 608, which is fine by me. So it's still fewer vehicles than we had before. Looking in here, 567, manage that. There's 30 of them, so we want to grab 15, and then we'll just go ahead and duplicate again. So we'll actually just grab 10 of them. We'll sell those, gives me 20 vehicles. Let me replace with these guys, and that gives us 753 with 20 vehicles, which is kind of wild. Let's go ahead and sell 5 of those, and that comes down to 563. Go ahead and give me one more, and that gives us 602. So that's absolutely perfect. So all of those lines have now been sorted. They're all moving just as much as they need to be with fewer vehicles. So that's good. That is very, very good. That is exactly what we're looking for. Now we kind of need to do the same thing here. So steel machines is 325 right now. If we go and look at this, we could be moving more. We could be moving 377. So let's go to steel machines. Let's manage those vehicles. There's 66 of them. Let's go and replace it with the tarpaulin truck for 11.6 million. And that goes up to 488. We want it to be about 350. So sell 5 of those. And once the autosave's done, that should bring us down a little bit. We do have 66 of these guys. And this is good again, because it's going to bring the emissions down in Whitworth, which is obviously kind of important. So 452. Let's go ahead and grab 11 of these guys and see what exactly that's going to do for us. So selling those brings us down to 371. That is perfect. Now, let me look at you again. Consumers, 371 for the New Mills construction thing. Let's go to that slagged bricks line. It's currently 292. Manage those vehicles. I really don't feel like having to go through and sell these later on. So let me just go ahead and sell, I don't know, I want to say like 25 of them can probably go. And that brings us down to 200. Let me replace these guys. They're going to be moving, what are they moving? Slag can go in a flatbed, but then they're moving bricks. So we have to use the tarpaulin truck. And that brings us up to 345, which is better. Yeah, that's better. So 371, that's okay. All right. So fewer vehicles, just as much stuff, if not more, being moved. That's what we need to be doing. This is the game that I've been wanting to play in the long term, is, you know, moving more things with fewer vehicles. It works out really nicely. It can be done down here as well. Although interestingly, very interestingly, it kind of looks like this guy's not producing all that much anymore. So suppliers here, we're only transporting 80%. Consumers are getting as much as they need. I'm wondering if production's maybe down because there's, you know, almost 4,000 planks in here. That's definitely a possibility. This guy's actually producing just as much as ever, so I think it might just be a traffic issue. So it might be an idea to move this over to a different spot. That really might not be a bad idea. How many lines are coming in here though? Just 2? And then we have one sort of going back and forth that has nothing to do with it. So yeah, I think moving this around would be an idea. I kind of think that's what we're going to do. So let me go and grab a building. Let me get myself a truck station. We probably don't need to go too crazy on it, but I'm going to do 6 platforms, 30 meters, and we'll spin this around because here's what I want to do. I want to put this thing sort of facing this way. So if it's right about, I want to say there, if it's right about there, that should be fine. Let me also go and upgrade this road. So a nice large country road. It probably doesn't need to be a large country road. We'll do a regular one for now, and we'll see how that plays out. We'll go ahead and just sort of upgrade everything right back to there. That's going to let the vehicles move faster as well, which I think is going to be kind of important. So We'll see how that plays out. That'll let them move faster there as well. And then for this guy, I want to go and say that all of these platforms, I'm going to pause the game while I do this because it's going to let me do it a little bit faster because it's not trying to load all the vehicles and, you know, deal with what they're doing. We'll bring this out just a little bit further to about there. I think is fine. In fact, we can go one further probably. So we'll go like this and that'll be all right. For street access, I want an exit right there. Or maybe I just want a regular entrance down here would be an idea. I think that's what we'll try and do. This might cause some problems, but I'm willing to give it a shot. And in terms of cargo, I mean, we could do some large cargo buildings on either side, I suppose. So something sort of like this will work out. It'll give us a little bit of extra storage space if we need it, which we're probably not going to, but I like doing these buildings, man. They look really good. So we'll sort of dot these little guys out there as well, and we can't fit them down here, which is totally fine. So that's what I'm looking for. I want to get a medium country road. I want to go out like this, and I'm just sort of going to go straight over to here. Nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy, just straight over like that. And then what we can do, this guy should be connected to that, and it absolutely is. What we can do is go logs to planks. We can manage that line and say you no longer go to Whitworth sidings, you go here. And so you come in, you do your thing, you go where you gotta go, and you get back out of there, which is exactly what we're looking for. This guy's also gonna go to platforms 5 and 6, so it's got 3 platforms to work with. And then we could, if we actually wanted to, we could just say that these guys keep going there. But honestly, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna give them sort of their own little dedicated space. So they're no longer going to Whitworth sidings. That's going to be slightly tricky. Okay. So you're going to be going here is what you're going to be doing. And that's Whitworth South. And I need you on platform 1. And I need you to no longer go to the sidings. So you just go down here. Now it is sort of overlapping itself, and I don't love that it's doing that. So what I really want this guy to be doing is going in sort of the other way. So platform 4 has it sort of looping back on itself. So maybe what we want to be doing for this guy is saying 4, well, we'll say 4, and then we'll say 5 and 6. So it sort of goes to the same side as the other one. And then this guy, the planks one, I guess in Whitworth South is platform 1. But that doesn't play all that nicely either. Let me change the color so I can see what it's doing. So the planks line, wait, what was this? That's planks to machines. That's not what I wanted at all. Let me change that back. Let me put you back in platform 4. So you're still doing what I wanted you to do. It was the logs to planks one that I want to look at here. So manage that line, change it to blue, and then put you on platform 1. And then we'll say platforms 2 and 3 and not 5 and 6. That's what I want. So they're kind of coming in one side, they're coming in the other side, and then these guys can just go back and forth. That is exactly what I want right there. So that's perfect. All right. Let me manage these vehicles. In fact, they've already been painted differently, so we'll not worry about it. That's perfect. Delete you. And that seems good. That seems like it should work out. That should give us a little bit more efficiency here. We do have this intersection, which is whatever. I'm not really super worried about it. This should be fine. This should work out. This should do what I want it to do. Some of these vehicles are going to have to figure themselves out. They're going to have to move around a little bit differently, but I'm kind of okay with that. That right there should, once it figures itself out, that should be a little bit more efficient, which is good. That's what we want. A little bit more efficiency here. Oh, now this is very interesting. We have a huge number of machines just sitting around and waiting to be moved. So if we look at you, our suppliers are doing pretty well. Our consumers could be doing better. Rochester, for example, could use a few more. Midhurst could use a few more. And then just generally looking at the numbers we have here, I think we could potentially get away with a few more machines or a few more vehicles in these lines. So I'm going to replace these guys with the new truck, and that gives them a bit of a higher rate, which is good. I'm thinking I'm just going to duplicate the number of vehicles there, moving down to Middlewich. And Norton as well, I'm less inclined to duplicate the number of vehicles. I think you know, we're going to have 10 vehicles. They're going to be upgraded. We're going to be moving a bit more stuff here. So Norton might be okay. It's got a rate of 40. Maybe duplicate half of them. We'll go up to 15 there, and that'll be a little bit better for Norton. And then Whitworth only has 2 vehicles, so replace those with the Opel Blitz Tarpaulin truck and duplicate. We'll go up to 96 right about there, and we'll see what that does for us. Hopefully that gets things moving a little bit. Hopefully that improves things. Hopefully that gets all the machines into all the cities that want them. Whitworth is still sort of losing population, which I don't love. I'm not pleased about that. And then looking over here, is this guy producing as much as it could be? Not really. Norton's transport is down to 57%. That is actually really bad, and that's because of traffic, by the looks of it. Interesting. I wasn't expecting it to be a traffic issue. Are all of you guys, where are you going? Booze food delivery. Interesting. So we might need to just go and say, you know, let me go and grab like a large street, and maybe this should be a large street sort of around the edge of the town. And that might just improve things. That might just get traffic. Yeah, it gets some of it going out there. It doesn't get all of it going out there though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a waypoint right about there. And I'm going to go and I'm going to grab one of these guys. So one of you. And I need to say manage line. And on the way back from, is it the drive that you're going to? It's Bingham West. Where the hell do these guys go? So they go from the exchange here to Bingham West to the drive. Oh, they're delivering the food to Norton. That's the problem. It's because they have to come into town and deliver it, so that does slow them down. I forgot about that part. Okay. Now, do all of these guys have food on board? No. In fact, quite a few of them don't. Which says to me that, yeah, okay. We might want to look into just supplying this a little bit better, because Norton's having some issues. Alternatively, I guess what I can do is manage the vehicles here. So the rate's 219 right now. That's not very good. If I just replace those vehicles, the rate's going to go up to 375. The vehicles are faster. They have higher capacity. I mean, the rest of the vehicles in the streets are not all that great, but we'll see what happens, I suppose. I did kind of forget that we do need to go in there and actually deliver those things though. So maybe we want to change it up. Maybe we want to change, I don't know, the delivery spot. Maybe we want a dedicated line to do that stuff. I don't really know. We'll keep an eye on it though, and we'll see what happens. If anything, it might just be time to start supplying this with like meat. We might just need to do that. Now, there is a way we could do that. We have Hartlepool down here. We have a farm. We have a livestock farm. And then we have a meat processing plant just up here by Axbridge. We actually have 2 of them. So we could, in theory, go ahead and produce some grain, produce some livestock, produce some meat, and then ship that all the way up to here by Bingham. But there's a slightly different way we could do that. We could take that meat over to Midsummer Norton and turn it into food there. And that's going to provide food to anyone that wants it down here, which is mostly just Rochester. But we do have that option. If anything, we could produce some food. I mean, how much does this farm produce? 300? So we could do a little bit of production here if we wanted to as well. We have this place as well. So we could start doing some stuff down by Hartlepool and growing Hartlepool and providing, you know, some food to this space. That might not be a bad idea. And it's really not that far from Middlewich. So we might want to look into setting up a train that runs from Middlewich, a passenger train, sort of down through here, down to Hudston, down to Selby, and probably down to Midsummer Norton, to be quite honest. I think it would go to Midsummer Norton because that's where the kind of end point is for this production. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And I think that's going to be interesting. We have this place right here that actually wants food, so we can provide food down here. And yeah, I think that is exactly what we're going to do. So let me just modify some of these roads because they're a little bit rough in a few places. And what we're going to want to do is get ourselves some nice medium country roads. We'll run that one to there. And what I want to do, I guess, is I do want to connect these guys together. So I'm going to bring this road sort of over, and we'll bring this road kind of up here. And I want to go around these forests because I do like to try and keep them as best I can. This one, a little bit has to go, but that's okay. You are going to be upgraded as well. I'm going to run you down to about that spot. And we'll go ahead and sort of bring this guy over with a nice upgrade through Hartlepool. I mean, we're not going to be taking any livestock that way anyway, but I think that's a good connection to have. What we can also do is take this road back and then go ahead and upgrade sort of all of this guy and run a road kind of that way. So it's going to go past this factory. We're not going to be doing anything with that factory right now. Maybe one day, but not right now. And what I need to do is get a connection up to that meat processing plant. So I think what might actually be a better idea is bringing this right back and then sort of going out like this and around this hill. It's going to be a little bit cheaper. Not that money is an issue, to be fair. Money is definitely not an issue right now, but we can go this way anyway. It just makes a little bit more sense, I think, to try and avoid doing a tunnel if we can just get a nice little coastal road there, which does look nice. Little coastal road, never did anybody any harm. So we'll bring this over and we'll bring this sort of straight through to about there, and that'll be our connection for, I guess, all of the meat. All right, so all of the roads are in, all of the truck stations and truck stops are in. We just need to get ourselves a road depot, and I'm gonna go ahead and put the road depot down here in Hadley because this is currently the only place with a destination. We're gonna bring some food down here just to get the lines started, and then what we can do is go ahead and expand it a little bit later on. So we'll go ahead and put the depot, I want to say right about there is a decent little spot for it. And now we just need to set up some lines. So what we want to do is we want to be going from here to there, and that's going to be our grain. So road cargo, and this is in HARTLEPWOL. I think we'll have that twice. So let's go for, I don't know, let's go for this yellowy, kind of greeny yellow color. It's yellow. So that's actually, we already have a yellow one, but it should be fine. They're far enough apart. Bingham and Hartlepool aren't going to have any overlap. It should be fine. So that's Hartlepool. That is going to be grain to livestock. And then what we want to do is go ahead and just say that these guys can use all of the platforms. So all of the platforms there. And then in Hartlepool West, we're going to have you using all of the platforms 1, 2, and 3. And that should be fine. And then we want to say new line here, and you're going to be using platforms 4, 5, well, 4, as well as 5 and 6. This is going to be that color as well. And this is going to be Hartlepool, I guess, livestock to meat. And we want to say that this goes all the way up to about here. And I don't see it on the road. Do we not have that as a connection? Is that not possible? It is, just for some reason it doesn't want to play nicely. Oh, wait, what the hell is it doing? It's not actually showing the thing at all. That's weird. Oh no, there it is. So now it's doing what I want it to do. They're not overlapping in any weird way. It goes straight through. It goes up to there. It does what I want. I just want you to be on platforms 1 and 2 and 3. So it comes in and does the same thing. So now this is going to be an Axbridge line. So road cargo, and it's AXBRIDGE. We'll go ahead and copy that. We'll say Axbridge is going to be that green color up above, and it's going to be platforms 4, 5, and 6. And so this is road cargo. What is this? This is meat. So this is meat to food. We'll go ahead and copy that, and we'll say that we want this to go all the way over to right about there. And that should be just fine. We can go ahead and say use all of the platforms of it. In fact, just platforms 1 and 2 this time. We'll have platform 3 be the food delivery. And so we'll say from here, we want to go and name this one, I guess we'll just say Midsummer. So Midsummer. And this is food to, what's the other place called? This is the food delivery line. This is food to Hadley. So Midsummer food to I guess HADLEIGH is what we'll call it. And that line can be, I want to say, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. We'll just go for like a nice sort of darker green. No, it's actually directly above Rochester. Let's go for the bright sort of pinky purple color. And that'll be fine. So you are going to be going to there. And that'll be just fine. All right. That's a pretty big loop, to be quite honest. That is a pretty big loop. We're going to have some balancing to do here. But honestly, what I'm going to try and do, I mean, this place can produce up to 300 right now. So 300 grain will translate into that'll translate into 300 livestock. In fact, it'll only be 200 because I don't think this thing can upgrade. So we only need to move 200 grain. And then we can say that the 1 cow becomes 1 meat. Okay, that'll be fine. Yeah, so we want to get a rate of 200 for the grain line to start with. So let's head down here and let's buy some vehicles. So this is just moving grain, which means we can use the dump trucks. Give me, we'll say 10 of those to start with. 2.5 million is fine. And they're moving grain, so make them sort of that color. And this is, I've already forgotten what it is, a Hartlepool grain to livestock. So now, if we look at that line, it has a rate of 399, which is way more than it needs to be. So I can thankfully go and sell probably about 4 of those. And that gives us 239. Give me 1 more gone. That gives me 199. That's perfect. So this guy is producing up to, actually 300 is what I needed. Never mind. I'm an idiot. Well, no, because we only needed 200 for this guy. And it's 1 to 1. So that should be fine. Yeah, so that's totally okay. So 200 there. We need 200 on the livestock line as well. It's a longer line though, so we'll see how that goes. Let's say 15 vehicles for now. Livestock, it's cows. Let's make it sort of a grayish color. And we'll go ahead and say that is the, what was it called? What's the place? I've already forgotten about it. Hartlepool. It's Hartlepool livestock to meat. So now that that's going ahead, let's have a look at the rate on that one. 179. So if I pin this, manage the vehicles, give myself maybe 1 more, that gives us a rate of 191. Give me 1 more, and that gives me a rate of 203. That's totally fine. So now we have a rate of about 200 there. We're going to want a rate of about 200 on the meat line as well. So let's once again go down here. Let's go ahead and grab, I guess, let's say 15 of these guys. They're going to be moving meat, so make them a nice kind of bright sort of reddish pinky color. And that is, I've already forgotten what it is, meat to food in Axbridge. So they head out. They're going to do their thing. And meat to food is 107. So if we pin you, manage vehicles, duplicate, I can probably get away with selling maybe 1 of them. I don't know why the game was struggling to do that. I can get maybe you out of there, and that gives us a nice rate of 207. That's perfect. All right. So now they are doing their thing. So that's 200 meat coming across here. That is going to be producing up to 400 food. All right. So up to 400 food. We don't really need a rate of 400 coming down here to Hadley. Hadley only wants 73. So what we'll do is try and get a rate of about 73. So buy some vehicles. Give me, I don't know, I want to say 5 of them for now. And they're moving food, so let's just make them like a nice sort of green color. And it is going down to, what is it called? What's it? Midsummer? So we're looking for the Midsummer food to Hadley line. And if we have a look at you, that food to Hadley line has a rate of 54. We want it to be like 70 something. So manage vehicles, give me 1 more. And that should probably be fine. In fact, 1 more again will give us 76, which is totally okay. And they have a demand for what? It was like 78, 73. Okay, so that's perfect. That is totally fine. This should now be relatively well balanced, which is exactly what we're looking for. So while everything's getting set up in the new little production line we have in the south, I've made some changes to Norton Radstock. And what I've done is I've gone to the meat or the booze to food to delivery line, the one that was coming in here originally. And I've added a stop down here. and I've added a stop just here. So now what that line does, if we take a look here, you can sort of see it comes down, it stops here, drops off some food, it cuts across and drops off more food up here. And the reason I did that is because you can kind of see where all the food's wanted. So if we have a stop down here, it covers this lower area, and a stop up here covers most of this top space. But what I'm thinking I could do instead is I could potentially go and build essentially a little like warehouse is what I'm thinking. So if I went and did 2 platforms and I said, you know, give me like a little truck stop thing just out here. So say, you know, connect it right about there. That should be just fine. So something like that. We'll go ahead and we will just expand it with a whole bunch of these platforms. I'll pause while I do this as well, so it doesn't, you know, cause the game to get weird and laggy and do all that it does. So we'll do this right here up to there. We'll go and put a bunch of these little buildings on the side as well, because I do really like how they look. As I've said before, I think they look fantastic. They make the place look a little bit more industrial, which is good. We can do a building up here and here as well if we want to. Little building in the corner, a couple of little buildings in there, and a couple of little buildings just down there. So a little bit of extra storage. But what this does is it gives me the option to now go to that line, which is what I want to do. I want to go to you. And I think what I'm actually going to do is say that after Bingham West, you go there and you no longer go into Norton itself. So it comes along, it comes back, it drops everything off. So what we're going to say is that you are unloading all of that food right about there. So now that main line doesn't go through the town. It's going to be way less traffic. It should be a little bit more efficient. Its rate is actually 832 now, which is kind of crazy because production here is not that. So in theory, this line can lose a lot of vehicles. So I'm going to do that. It does not need to be 832. It doesn't even need to be 400. We're just going to get rid of a really good chunk of these, to be quite honest. We'll just get rid of like 30 and see what it does. It's going to be running kind of empty for a little bit, but that is fine. Well, it's not running empty, but some of them will be slightly empty. There we go. So 416, that's fine. That's still way too much, but that's okay. So it's going to drop off the food here. And the reason I'm okay with doing that is, well, let me just check something. Does anything else stop here? Tools delivery does. So where are tools wanted around here? Tools are wanted pretty much in the middle of town, so that's perfect. Nothing stops here anymore. So I want to get rid of that stop. And I know that nothing stops here either. So what we're going to do is put a little stop, say here. And we're going to put a little stop, say here. We're going to have a little stop sort of come up to, I want to say about there. And I want a little stop that goes about there. And in doing that, what I can now go and say is new line that goes from here, that goes over to here, that goes over to here, and over to here, and then out to here. And we want that to go to a different platform out here. Platform number 2 is what we're looking for. In fact, I probably should, reverse that. So let me actually get rid of that line just very quickly. And I'm going to just move all of these stops to the other side so the trucks flow a little bit better. So this one needs to go. And I think it was this guy needs to go as well. So you go away. And then what we do, this is stop number 1. Stop number 2 is going to be right there. Stop number 3 is going to be right there. Stop number 4 is going to be right there. Stop number 5 right there. And so doing it that way means that what I can now do is create a line that comes out. It's a Norton line, so it's bright red. And it's going to come over to here. It is going to go down to here. It is going to come down to here. It's going to go down to here, and it's going to go back. And so what we're going to call that is road cargo. It's Norton, and it's going to be food delivery. And that's basically how we're going to get the food around. The food comes in, it gets dropped off. Some of these houses will consume it, but then we'll just have a little series of trucks that just picks it up from the warehouse and delivers it around the town. And that should be pretty good. So we'll buy some vehicles. We'll go and get, I don't know, 5 of them for now. We'll paint them bright red. In fact, no, we'll paint them, let's paint them sort of a nice bright green just to be a bit different. And it's going to be road cargo. It's Norton. It's food delivery. And that should work. in theory, that should work. I say in theory because I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure that should work. And there we go. We've got food deliveries coming in. We've got these guys filling up with food to head out into the town. So we'll have to balance this, but that's okay. At the very least, we have way less traffic going through Norton, which means all of this food production should be a little bit better in the long term, which means this thing is probably going to be a little bit more efficient as well. Now, speaking of this thing, or speaking of food, let's head all the way back down here. Where the hell did I do that new line? It was over here. So looking at this should be a little bit better balanced now. We're producing 300. We are shipping 235. So that's actually gone up a little bit, which is okay. Looking at you, you're moving 248. So actually the rate on the livestock is going to be higher than the rate. That's interesting. That must have kind of rebalanced recently as well, which I guess is fair enough. Huh. I don't love that. I don't love that it's a little bit off. I'm kind of tempted to say maybe ditch one of the vehicles, so that comes down a little bit more in line. So 234. That's all right. So now it's a little bit better balanced. Looking up this way, the meat line is 329. So that can be massively rebalanced. We can go ahead and get rid of, say, I'm going to say like 6 of those. We want it to be, it is 1-to-1, right? Yeah, it is 1-to-1. So 260. Let's go ahead and get rid of another one. That'll bring us down to 248. Get rid of another one. Should bring us down to 236, 237. That's fine. Get rid of one more. And that gives us 224. So it's a little bit less. So we should have a surplus of meat here. And then that meat gets brought over. It gets turned into food. And looking at suppliers, it's currently 78, which is whatever, I guess. And consumers, they're getting 66. So in theory, that should start working out. It might just take a minute, which is totally fine by me. I'm not really too concerned about this taking a little bit of time. I'm not really in a rush, to be completely honest. So yeah, that's actually okay. That's pretty good. Now, moving back to Norton really quickly, I want to sort out this, because we have a huge number of tools and bricks waiting to be moved into Norton to different places. And I think we can just sort of turn this around and make it a little bit more efficient. So let's go to buildings and let's see where these things are wanted. So bricks are wanted sort of in all of that space over here. So what I think we can do is we can use, so this stops on the right side of the road. I don't want that. What I'm going to do is have a stop right about here. I'm going to have a stop right about, say, there. I'm going to have a stop sort of right about, I want to say there as well. And that's going to be a bricks line is what that's going to be. So if I go in here and I say new line, it is a little bit weird doing it this way, but we're going to go from here. I mean, we already have Norton Bricks delivery and we already have Norton Tools delivery. So I just need to change them. So road cargo, Norton Brick delivery. Let me change you to be bright green so I can see what you're doing. And you're just sort of going up into the main part of the town. So let's have you start there. And I need you to come over to this spot. I need you to come up to, I don't know which one of these two you're actually coming up to. I think this one. Although that looks like it's going to be a little bit of a pain for you to get up there, but that should be whatever. You're going to come over to here. So it kind of loops around. That's all right. And I don't know where I wanted it to go from there. That might have been it. It might have just been those 3 stops. That does kind of look like it's going to cover everything. So bricks in here, bricks up there, bricks up there. That, I'm pretty sure, is going to cover everything. The only issue is that it does sort of overlap on the way back in here. I don't love that it does that. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that it does that. It might have been better if I'd sort of taken this out a slightly different way, but I'm not really going to worry too much about that. I think we're fine. I think we'll survive on that. So let's switch you out and let's just say that so this is brick delivery. The only thing I want you picking up is bricks. And that's the only thing you're going to be unloading. And then the other one is tools delivery. Now tools, where are they wanted? They're wanted kind of right in the middle here. So tools delivery is probably fine, to be completely honest. So if we go to tools delivery and I change you manage line you know, change you out. So the only thing you're loading up on is a bunch of tools. That should now work, right? In theory, that's now going to be doing what we want it to do. There are a bunch of bricks on the tools line, but they will eventually disappear, I'm sure. And that should be all right. Let me just make sure I did set that up properly. I absolutely did. So those vehicles should now be able to do their thing. What I would like to do is just upgrade them. So manage vehicles. So this is the bricks line. They can actually be swapped out. Oh, they can't be swapped out. It's going to be the, okay, that's the tarpaulin one. That's fine. And tools, manage vehicles, swap them out, tarpaulin. And you know what? We could probably duplicate those as well. And we can probably paint them differently too. We'll make things a little bit more interesting. Let's get you all nicely upgraded. These guys are tools, so we'll go for that color. And then for the bricks one, we'll just do, I mean, it's whatever really. We'll do like a nice kind of sort of that color, I guess. It's still red. It's still they're still red. Let's go for that. Or let's go for orange. It doesn't really matter. We'll just do that. In fact, let's do like a light kind of reddish pinkish color. We'll do that. There we go. They're slightly different. You'll never be able to tell the difference, you know, from a distance, but it's whatever. That'll hopefully help things though. That'll hopefully get things moving around a little bit better. It does seem like we could use maybe more vehicles moving the bricks, but we'll see what happens. They have a rate of 167 right now. The bricks to Norton has a rate of 440. So maybe a few more vehicles here wouldn't be all that bad. Maybe up to 12 of those would be an idea. We'll see how that goes. What about the tools one? What about the 246? It's kind of hard to know exactly what the balance is there. We'll see what happens. That should help Norton though. It should now be getting more of everything that it needs directly to the places that need them. The food's getting moved out. The bricks are getting moved out. The tools are getting moved out. That's good. That's what we want to be happening. So I think we can go ahead and leave it there for today. I've made some pretty good improvements, I think, to Norton. I'm hoping that's going to really nicely improve things. I do want to improve public transport around here though. So something I'm probably going to do is spend some time actually just looking into how best to set up buses in Transport Fever 2, because I actually don't know. And fun fact, despite playing City Skylines for now over 8 years, I've never once researched sort of bus lines. I've never researched really anything for cities. I'll research little things. I'll look at maps and I'll be like, how, you know, look at the allocation of commercial, residential, industrial zoning and stuff like that, and how to separate those districts and make them, you know, flow together nicely. But I've never looked into how to set up bus lines. I've never really looked into, you know, is it better to do sort of like an A to B? So like from one place to another and back and forth with stops along that? Or is it better to do these loops that I do? Is it better to sort of have like the spokes system that I've used in cities where you have like a central point and it goes out to all these places, you know, around that? The one thing I will say about Norton is that the bus line is old, and you can tell it's old because it's right in the middle of the city and there's nothing on the edges. So getting some buses kind of moving around the edges might not be a bad idea. In fact, let's just really quickly do that. Let's really quickly do a thing, because I actually have a bit of an idea for how I can do this. I think what I'm going to do is try and take some buses sort of right around the edges of the town, so that you can kind of get to anywhere you want to go. You might just need to transfer somewhere, and that's probably all right. That's probably fine. So we'll come down here. We'll sort of come down through here. We'll have a stop right there. And what we'll do is set this up. So new line, we want it to go from here. Let's have this be bright red as per usual. It's going to come across to there, and it's going to go to here. It's going to shoot up this way. Let's actually make it bright yellow so I can see where it is right now. It is going to go up to about there. So it goes back out onto that main road. It's going to come back across here. It's going to come down. It's going to come down even further, and it's going to go to there. So that now loops around kind of the outskirts of the town. And that is Norton. I mean, it's road passengers. Is it loop 3? I think Norton already has 2 loops, right? Norton loop, no, it's loop number 2. Okay. We might have wanted it to go in a different direction, but that's okay. So road passengers, Norton dash loop 2. All right. So let's go ahead and make it bright red. That'll be fine. Let's go ahead and get some vehicles on it, and we'll see if it's popular. We'll see if anyone uses it. It's not the end of the world if they don't. Ooh, we got some new buses too. All right. Give me 10 of them might be a bit much, but I'm going to do it anyway because why not? And I'm going to make the buses like a nice dark blue. I think that's pretty cool. So let's go for Norton loop number 2, which is right there. And we'll see how that plays out. And just while we're at it, let's go to loop number 1. Let's manage those vehicles. There's actually just not enough vehicles on this line to begin with. Make, change them into those. Let's go up to 8 of them and let's make them that nice dark blue as well. So there we go. That'll hopefully help out with public transport around here. That'll hopefully get people moving around a bit more. We'll see if it does. We'll see if it doesn't. I'm not really super concerned either way, but it will be nice to sort of figure things out. And I've also just realized that I'm probably overdoing it on the number of vehicles moving bricks and tools. But we do have a lot of bricks now getting into Norton. The place is projected to have 2,000 citizens at some point, which will be amazing. Very, very excited about that one. So I think, like I said, we're going to go ahead and leave it there for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure, as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.